Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I don't normally come on camera, but I have a confession to make today. I used to hate interactive scrapbook layouts. The idea of grubby little fingers touching my pages and my photos made me so squeamish inside. Now, I've gotten over a lot of that, partially because my kids are older and no longer grubby, but also because I have seen lots of examples out in the world of beautiful interactive layouts and the benefits of those layouts. So that is the topic of today's video. I'd like to share with you the past couple of years of ideas that I've put into action, and hopefully you can get some ideas for your projects as well. And maybe if you're like me, you'll get over that squeamishness. So let's head to the table and check them out. All right, here we are at my desk, and I will have to say, pardon the audio quality. I do work in the basement, and the furnace noise is a little hard to correct post audio, so I'm doing the best I can. At any rate, I would like to do this live so I can talk to you and walk you through some of these ideas. I have a whole stack here, including a binder, which actually only has one layout in it to share. So let's go ahead and start up here. I am going to set some of these things aside because I kind of have them broken down into categories. So in my previous life, like I mentioned, I did hate interactive layouts because I didn't like the idea of people touching things. That's probably a holdover from the film days when we'd get our film processed at the developer and get some prints back, and those prints were precious. In the age of digital world, that is less of an issue because if our photos get damaged, we can just print new ones and plop them over the old ones. So what I used to do only was have these pockets on the back of my layouts, just plain cardstock and tape, that I would put a bunch of notes inside of. On the front, I'd have a calendar, and in the past I wrote directly on the calendar, but I was running out of room, so on the back I would have just a list of the dates with different notes about what was going on in our life, and I would tuck that behind the beginning of that month's set of layouts, because I do store my layouts chronologically. Because this is a record of my kids growing up. So that was how I created interactivity without grubbiness in my layouts in the early days. Now, like I said, my kids have gotten older and less grubby, and I've gotten less squeamish. So I have started creating other little hidden tidbits on my layouts. Something super simple. Again, I just create a pocket with a page element, and then I can tuck some things inside. Now, this particular thing was the receipt from my daughter's birthday, and this was a COVID birthday, so we spent a little more than we usually would on a birthday dinner because we couldn't have a party with people over. So I saved that receipt to kind of show what our whole birthday dinner was like. So this is pretty accessible from the top of a page layout. And I will show you some examples of how to create interactivity while your pages are still inside of page protectors. So we'll get to that. Moving on, this one is very much the same idea. This helps me file my layouts later when I get to putting them away in my albums. But this one is very much the same idea, only I have lots of different zones that I have set up behind each photo, and each one of these little pockets holds more journaling than I could possibly put on the front of a layout. So that is the biggest thing I like about these interactive layouts is I'm usually pretty wordy, and I have a lot of feelings to express, and I want to say all the things. So having pockets to hide my journaling, oops, this one goes behind the photo, not behind the backer, because there's all of this chunky stuff that it wouldn't slide if it went behind the backer. So that is one tip. If you have other stuff that you don't want your pockets to snag on, you can put an extra layer behind to prevent that. So this one, like I said, has lots and lots of hidden journaling. All right, and I should say as we go, any of these layouts, which is a lot of them that I have videos for, I will go ahead and link you up in the description down below. The little doobly-doos up in the corner don't allow me to link up everything, so there will be a whole list down below. Now, this one was about me getting my first colonoscopy. Nobody wants to talk about that kind of stuff, but I think it's important to our life and our aging process, so I document these kinds of things, and nobody wants to talk about it, so nobody wants to read about it. So this hidden journaling is a lot of information, again, in a pocket behind a large page element that I can hide so that I could have some privacy, so that my readers could have some privacy. They don't want to necessarily know all the details, but it's there in case somebody wants to read it. Like maybe my kids in the future would want to read about what it means to be getting older because they're not at that life stage yet. They might like to know this stuff, especially since our culture doesn't talk about it. So that is that. All right, this layout has a little bit of privacy issues going on here, so I wanted to hide that. But the other thing that you can do with pockets is create lots of pocket. And I don't mean a big pocket. What I mean is lots of room in that big pocket. And this one definitely has a video on how I did this. This was not my idea. I did pick up this idea from one of those outside sources that I mentioned. So that video will give credit to that. However, this kind of accordion style pocket is fantastic for storing a lot of stuff. In this case, I have a very specific recipe that goes with this cooking layout. So let me go ahead and tuck that away. But imagine you could use that for a lot of photos from a big event, like a birthday party or an anniversary party, or something along those lines, and you could stick a lot of stuff on this layout. All right, now most of those layouts are accessible from the top of a pocket, but in here I have a layout that is accessible through the page protector. So let me flip to that page. All right, we have a little bit of glare, so I'll give it a tip here so that you can see it doesn't quite fit all the way on my screen. This was one that I do have a video for, and I will link you up to that. And I made this layout with lots of little bits of journaling, but I ran out of room to fit everything. So what I did was I included extra stuff off the edge of this layout. And this slides into a pocket that is part of the layout, but I just created a slit in my page protector. And I don't know if we can see this very well, but there's a little mark here and a little mark here that I dented the plastic with, and then I cut through it, and that dent helps keep it from ripping out. And again, this layout process video mentions more along those lines. So I had 10 things I wanted to add on here, but I didn't have room for number 10, so it ended up in this little pocket. So again, if you've got a lot of stuff that you need to include on a layout, hidden elements are fantastic. All right, let's take a look at another way to hide some elements through the page protector. And I think I've just got one more of that example. And again, I do have a video for this one as well. This one was another Christmas baking page, and I wanted to capture a lot of different photos. I also wanted to leave a lot of space for all the pretty elements on here. So I created this little tip-up, and this tip-up is attached inside of my page protector, and it goes through this slit that I created on the page protector. And you can technically pull this page out of the page protector and it will slide out of the slit, but I just carefully slide it in. My interactive element is there. My photos are still covered with the page protector, so if you have those grimy fingers, they're not gonna touch the photos. So that is another, well, that's not true. This photo is on the outside of the page protector, but you can make that decoration and put more of the photos inside. You could do multiples of these. At any rate, there is a video both on how I created these little tip outs and how I created this layout. So I will link you up to both of those. All right, this one uses products specifically for doing these kind of tip out ideas. And these are from Lawn Fawn. They are little pouches and they come in different sizes that have a sticky tab that you can stick to the front of your layout. So here's the story behind this one. I had created this birthday layout for my daughter when she turned 16. And I had created a layout with the photos that we took at our house. And then later, the photos that she took with her friends when they went on the kind of out and about portion of her birthday, I got access to those. I could have created a second layout, but this was already filed away in my album. There wasn't room for another page. I could have stuck another page in between. What I decided to do instead, and this was an experiment, and it's a little bit of a chunky experiment, but I created this whole, I'm making sure there's no privacy issues here, this whole entire, yep, they're still covered up, this whole entire flip book of additional photos and embellishments and room for additional stories right on top of this existing layout. Now I will link you up to where you can find these flip elements. What are they called? Let me see if I've got the package. Yes, I do. Okay, these are from Simple Stories and they're called Photo Flip Pockets. And they have multi-packs, 4x6, 3x4, and I don't know if you can buy the 4x4 individually, but I know those come in the multi-size packets. So I will link you up to these. All right, so that is kind of the end of the exterior kind of flip pocket idea. Here is, and these next two layouts are going to be similar in idea. I created this layout to house a bunch of, like the title says, random high school memories. So I didn't want to create a layout for every single thing that I could think of that happened in high school. I've got a lot of memories and a lot of stories. But what I can do is create these, this little file folder, which I just created, and I'll link you up. If you do your own cut files, you have an electronic die cut machine, I did create this cut file for free, and I'll link you up to that as well if you want to download this and do the same idea. So I have all these little tags and journaling blocks, and I can just write down stories. And if I can ever get access to some of those photos, again, my high school days were in film camera days. There was no digital photography. I don't have access to a lot of those photos. But should I get some of them, like sometimes my dad will send me scans that he makes, I can always include those on their own little cards or maybe behind the journaling so that I could keep adding and keep growing this idea. So lots of journaling and stories can fit in one page. And there is a second pocket with some, I've got some blank tags in here to continue working on this project. All right, this one is the same idea, only it's about Halloween as a kid growing up. And right now, I've only put one idea in here, but for this one, I created these little envelopes. And did I do these on an envelope maker? No, I don't remember how I did these envelopes at this point, but if I think of where this envelope template came from, I'll put a link to it. So this is the same idea. I still have work to do on this one, but over time, I can just keep adding to it. So that is the other benefit, is that you can take up a whole bunch of stories in a smaller amount of space, smaller amount of money on supplies, and smaller amount of shelf space in your house, which could be a bonus for people who have smaller houses. All right, the next, okay, well, I'm going to save the funnest one for last. These next two layouts are semi-hidden elements. I created this layout as a whole vellum technique video. Lots of things that I could do with vellum. Vellum is one of my favorite materials. And what I did here was I created my journaling on vellum so that I could see all of the elements of this layout behind it. You can tell that there's journaling still there, but it makes it more subtle so that the focus is on the photo. Now, the story is still there, and if people want to read more, they can, and they can pull it out if they want to read it more clearly, but it is still readable through here. And so that kind of leaves it up to your viewer and your reader to decide what they want to do. So that is one fun thing with vellum. Another fun thing with vellum, I should say, this layout, while it's not my favorite because some of these elements just aren't really my style these days, but I'm not going to worry about that because this layout was about the story. You can see how much story I have here. So I really wanted to focus on that. And the stuff in the background is just that. It supports the story without being the focus of the story. I did leave my face more open on this so you could definitely see me. If you do lift it up, you can see that I am pregnant. Just barely see that I am pregnant. But this story was about some of the health problems that I had during my third pregnancy. So this is a great way to use vellum to support your story, but really leave the focus on the story itself. All right, which brings us to the last layout I have to share for you. I think I have videos for all of these, so there will be a long process video link playlist for you. But this was probably the one that I had the most fun with because this was not something I ever imagined doing, but I was totally inspired one day to create door, 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 door. Yep, even this one, door, door. Here we go, door, door that shuts the other door, 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 and door. And one more down here, door. So you can see, let's see if we can lift it up. This is my lift a flap layout, which was totally inspired by the idea of kids' books where you lift a flap. Kids love this tactileness to experiencing the world. Why not let grown-ups experience it this way too? Or if you have products that you can make this for your kids so that they can experience it this way, and if it gets destroyed, you won't be heartbroken because you have set it up to be something for them. So that is another idea that you can do. And this was a layout about my hometown and just all of the little bits and pieces that make up everyday life in my town from, let's see, this says community parks, too many to list. So we go out and about a lot to various outdoor spaces in town. We go to the grocery store all the time, and most of the time it's Fred Meyer. Let's see, the swimming pool that we've used throughout the years, the movie theaters, fun little shops that have opened up over time that we've come to enjoy, the fair. So this layout is one of my favorites because it is so much fun. So creating these little hidden elements can just be fun. And that is one of the things I love a lot about scrapbooking. A lot of my layouts are about the process of enjoying the paper and the stickers and the elements, and I get to save stories along the way. All right, let's wrap it up. I hope you got some fantastic inspiration from what you can do with hidden elements and making them interactive hidden elements on your scrapbook layouts. So let me know, do you have any ideas that you like to use on your layouts? Leave them below. I'd love to give them a try. So that is it for this week. Until I'm back, I believe next week is the start of a new month. Is that right? Until then, have an artful day.